Hey there. This was my daily driver back at the start of 2022. I've since moved on from it, but these cars have done remarkably well this year, proving that if you build a good handling, good looking car with some performance at a reasonable price, a sports coupe can still sell very well in today's market. I have one of these actually on order for 23, 10th anniversary special edition that should be arriving early this spring. So look for that review on the channel in the near future. Welcome back to the Auto Ranch. We got a new car in the ranch today. Actually, it's not particularly new. It's been here a couple of weeks, but I haven't had a chance to really record anything on it, and I'm sure nobody really cares either way. But for those who like to follow the car stuff, I got this one's kind of a fun one. I replaced my daily driver. I had a Toyota Avalon since last summer that was a used, I had bought used, and I recently sold that and replaced it with a new car. So as you can see, it is 2022 Toyota GR86. These are, I don't know, some people call them the baby Supra. I think it's a totally different car than a Supra. I mean, it's obviously I owned a Supra a few years ago when they first came out, and they're a cool car, but they serve a totally different market. They cost, if you get the V6, you're in the mid 50s. With this, this is a low 30s car in premium trim, which this one is. You can get a base trim, which is even cheaper. I think they're in the upper 20s. And when you really think about it, in the market today, there's not much out there. In that sporty kind of two-door. I mean, the coupes are pretty much dead. So in the two-door, coupe market, there's not much out there around 30,000 that has decent performance. And of course, this is rear-wheel drive. One of the things that's nice about the premium over the base, you do get those black wheels, 18-inch wheels. The best part of these is that they have the Michelin Pilot 4S tires on them, which is probably the best tire you can put on a street car today, from the factory in particular. So, and a lot of people like on these. I mean, they're on these Mustangs. I mean, a lot of people are putting the 4Ss on those when they replace the tires. I mean, it's probably the best street tire out there today. And if you get the premium, it comes on the car. The base has the what they call the Prius tires, which some people like because it's easier to throw the car around. But these stick actually really well. These, this is the second generation of this car. Some of you who are car people may remember it's had various names. I had one when they were still Scion FRSs back in 2013, and they did away with Scion and brought out the Toyota. They called it a Toyota 86, and I think maybe it was a GT86 at the end of the first generation. These cars are sister cars. They're made it's a joint venture similar to the Supra. The Supra is a joint venture between BMW and Toyota. This is a joint venture between Toyota and Subaru. So it's kind of a combination. It has a Subaru motor. They look different though. I mean, the bodies the front and the back are different. If you look at a BRZ versus the GR86, and for once I think I picked the right one. In the last body style, maybe the Subaru I thought was a little better looking. I think the Toyota has the better appeal. It's a sharper car. One of the other things on the premium, obviously you get the bigger wheels and tires. You also get this duckbill spoiler, which you don't get on the base car, and which I don't believe is offered on the Subaru. But car has really good lines. I mean, it's one of those cars you look at it and you're like, well, that's kind of a sexy car. You can get these both in an automatic and a manual. for a daily driver, I tend to prefer an automatic just because I don't want to have to worry about it. If I'm driving a lot of city traffic, this one is an automatic. You know, if it was just going to be a fun car, the manual would be the way to go. The challenge, of course, right now is you can't get these in automatic or manual without ordering them. And most guys are saying it's about a 3-month wait. Some are longer. If you want a manual, you're probably looking at 6 months at this point, unless you get lucky and find one where somebody backs out of it. The manual, honestly, when I started looking at these, I ordered this car back in December. So it took about 2 months for it to show up. And Toyota does a weird deal with their deal. It's, you know, they're like allocations. They're not really, you know, factory orders like some of the other manufacturers. So you get what you get. And I wanted a red one originally, and I waited an extra week and it was gone. And that's the market today, right? So I got the dark blue. It's actually, ironically, the FRS that I had in 2013 was a similar color, a little different blue. And I like it. It's different. They also have what they call a Neptune blue, which is kind of like a real bright blue for this car. That's probably the most popular color with the demographic that, you know, the millennials that are buying these traditionally. The other thing you get, instead of the cloth seats, you get kind of an Alcantara fake leather type of seat on the inside. Yeah, they do some nice Alcantara on the sides and even on the hood for the dash. You do get heated seats with the premium that you don't get on the standard car. I think there's 2 other speakers on the premium versus the standard. I mean, the seats are nice. I mean, they hold you in well. There is a back seat in this car, though. God, I don't know why they even bother. I mean, it'd be a terror for a child. And an adult fitting back there is probably near impossible. But they've come a long way with these. They upgraded the motor for the second generation. It's now a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder, and the biggest complaint with these cars was they were underpowered in the first generation, and they were. They've always been great handling cars, and they've even improved the handling for this generation over the first generation. And with these tires, I can say, having owned a lot of Miatas, which are really the only competitor, and that's not really a great competitor, but it's what they get compared to. These handle better than the Miata today, you know, which is great, and they're powerful. They've actually fixed the power problem that they had in the first generation. These are not Mustang, Corvette type of power cars. The last generation, I think, was like 205 horsepower, but it had torque like in the 150s. The second gen, and the big problem that everyone complained about with the first generation car was it had a major torque dip right where you needed it at like 3,000 to 4,000 RPM. Well, they upgraded the motor to a 2.4. It's now 200. It's advertised at 228 horsepower, though. Like with a lot of the newer sporty cars, I mean, when guys take them to the dyno, they're probably realistically making closer to 240, 250. So you've got a substantial bump over the 205 that you had in the first gen, but the big thing is the torque. The torque, I think, is up in the 180s now instead of 150s, and it peaks at like 3,800 RPM, right where you need it. So the torque dip is gone for the most part. The car feels athletic. It feels like a car that's faster than 228 horsepower. And it's weird, the manual on these is actually a little quicker than the automatics, which it's usually the opposite, but this is an 8-speed automatic, a 6-speed automatic, and it's an older automatic transmission. It's not one of the DSG type deals, so it's a little slower than the manual, but I mean, realistically, that they improved the 0 to 60 a second and a half on these from the first generation, and that's a big step up. It's all you need for a daily driver type of car, and then some. And it handles really well. I've been shocked at how well it sticks. You do on those tires, you got to be careful. They are summer tires. You know, it's supposed to be 40 degrees and warmer. And this is not a car. I mean, unless you're gonna put winter tires on it, you shouldn't be driving it in the snow and bad cold weather. So for me, I'll drive this car through the summer, and it'll be gone before the weather changes. I was ready for something a little sportier, which it is. And I think overall, Toyota did a really nice job with this, and in cooperation with Super. I think these will sell well. Like any two-door, they have a limited following, so the first year or two there'll be a lot of interest, and then you'll be able to find them and probably in plentiful supply in a couple years. So anyways, that's the new daily driver. The only other thing I'd mention on this car is that I did put of course, my favorite, I love to hear stuff, so I did put a different exhaust on it. It has a piped-in sound on the dash. That comes from they basically have a speaker, and it sounds good, but it's artificial. The actual exhaust itself from the factory is super quiet. So I put an MXP RS exhaust on it. They see the bigger tips on each side, and it sounds good. A little bit boy racer for somebody in their 40s. But the car has a good sound. It's got a little bit of a drone to it, around 3,000 RPMs, but you're not in that range for very long. But it does sound much better than stock, and it wasn't an expensive swap. And it makes the car sound really good, and 8 out of 10 people who buy this car are going to want the exhaust when they buy it anyways. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast with something like this. So I think that's it.